institutions, ministries, national agencies, units of the Korean People's Army and the public security forces, and institutions, industrial establishments, and universities at all levels in the city of Pyongyang. The visitors paid homage to the great leaders, looking up to their bronze statues. Bouquets as well as floral baskets in the name of units of the Korean People's Army and the public security forces, institutions and enterprises were laid before the bronze statues of the great leaders in different other places of the capital city, including Kim Il-sung University. Officials, working people, service personnel, and school youth and children in the provinces also called up the bronze statues of the great leaders in their localities and paid respect to them. Meetings were held in the provinces, municipalities directly under central authority on the 14th to mark the 80th anniversary of national liberation. Present at the meetings were officials of the local party and government organs and working people's organizations and officials and working people of industrial establishments. The reporter said that thanks to August the 15th, the day of national liberation brought by the great leader Kim Il-sung, Korea could take back her lost dignity and a genuine people's country firmly defending the life of the people was able to emerge on the arena of history. They called on all officials, party members, and working people to devote themselves to the sacred patriotic cause for glorifying the democratic People's Republic of Korea, permeated with the blood of the foreigners, as a more powerful and prosperous country under the leadership of the respected comrade Kim Jong-un. The delegation of the State Duma of the Russian Federation, led by Speaker Vyacheslav Volodin, laid a wreath at the Liberation Tower on the 15th. Present on the occasion were Kang Min-seok, Vice Chairman of the Standing Committee of the Supreme People's Assembly of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Park In-chul, Chairman of the Supreme People's Assembly, and Alexander Matsegora, Russian Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to the DPRK. Guards of honor of the Korean People's Army were standing at the Liberation Tower. The national anthems of the Russian Federation and the DPRK was played. Amid the playing of the wrist-laying music, the wreath was laid in the name of the Speaker of the State Duma of the Russian Federation. The participants observed the moment's silence in memory of the martyrs of the Soviet Army who devoted their precious lives to the sacred war for liberation of Korea and looked round the tower. That day, the delegation called at the grave of martyrs of the Soviet Army in Sadong district and laid a wreath in the name of the Speaker of the State Duma and flowers before them. Kim Song-nam, Chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the Supreme People's Assembly of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea and Director of the International Department of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, met and had a talk with leading members of the delegation of the State Duma of the Russian Federation, including First Deputy Speaker Ivan Melnikov at the National Assembly Hall in Pyongyang on the 15th. Present at the talk were a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the Supreme People's Assembly, officials concerned, and the Minister Counselor of the Russian Embassy in the DPRK. At the talk, beneficial opinions were exchanged on the issues arising in further developing the friendly relations between the two countries. The delegation of the State Duma of the Russian Federation, led by Speaker Vyacheslav Volodin, which paid a congratulatory visit to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea at the invitation of the Supreme People's Assembly of the DPRK, returned home on the 15th. Cha Ryong-hae, member of the Presidium of the Political Bureau of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea and First Vice President of the State Affairs Commission and Chairman of the Standing Committee of the Supreme People's Assembly of the DPRK, sent off Speaker Vyacheslav Volodin at the Pyongyang International Airport. The delegation was sent off by officials concerned, Alexander Matsegora, Russian Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to the DPRK, and staff members of his embassy. The delegation of the Ministry of Culture of the Russian Federation that visited the Democratic People's Republic of Korea at the invitation of the Ministry of Culture of the DPRK went back home on the 15th. It was sent off at the Pyongyang International Airport by Park Yong-chul, Vice Minister of Culture of the DPRK, and officials concerned, Alexander Matsegora, Russian Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to the DPRK, and staff members of his embassy. An evening gala of youth and students took place at Kim Il-sung Square in Pyongyang on the 15th to celebrate the 80th anniversary of Korea's liberation. The evening gala started with a song, "We Sing of the Revolutionary Cause of the Leader." Letters including August the 15th and celebration were written on the floor of the square, and the popular dances to the tune of songs sung during the anti-Japanese revolution and female group dance decorated the venue of the evening gala distinctively. Beautiful fireworks were set off in the night sky of the capital city amid the enthusiastic dance of the youth and students. An oratorical contest of youth and students to carry forward the revolutionary spirit of the Baek-do was held at the plaza of the Arch of Triumph in Pyongyang on the 15th. Present there were Kim Jong-sun, Department Director of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, Moon Chol, Chairman of the Central Committee of the Socialist Patriotic Youth League, officials of the Youth League, and youth and students in the city. The orators highly praised the immortal exploits of the great leader Kim Il-sung, who led the arduous anti-Japanese war to a brilliant victory and thus accomplished the historic cause of national liberation, and the great personality of the respected fatherly Marshal Kim Jong-un, who is opening up a new era of creation and change on this land with his outstanding and seasoned leadership. Then the march of youth and students to carry forward the revolutionary spirit of the Baek-do started amid the playing of the solemn melody of the immortal revolutionary paean, Song of General Kim Il-sung. Seen in the van of the marchers were portraits of the anti-Japanese revolutionary forerunners who provided the origin of the traditional victory to be immortal in the history of the country. The marchers, chanting slogans aloud, were elated with the zeal to glorify their proud youth for prosperity of the country as befitting the offspring of the anti-Japanese guerrillas. A men's football match for Hatball Cup between the Kigamcha team and the Ryomyeong team was held at Kim Il-sung Stadium in Pyongyang on the 15th on the occasion of the 80th anniversary of Korea's liberation. It was watched by Park Tae-sung and Cha Ryong-hae, members of the Presidium of the Political Bureau of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, and other leading officials of the party, government, and armed forces organs, chief secretaries of the provincial party committees, members of the National Sports Guidance Committee, senior officials of the sports event supporters organizations, service personnel of the People's Army, and working people and youth and students in the city. The seesaw battle between the two teams ended in a draw of 1-1 in the first half and the second half of the match. Both teams had to play penalty kick. The score was 5-4, and after all, the Ryomyeong team beat the Kigamcha team 6-5.
The ice rink has been wonderfully rebuilt. The inaugural ceremony of the rebuilt ice rink was held on the 14th on the occasion of the 80th anniversary of national liberation. Present at the ceremony were Park Tae-sung, member of the Presidium of the Political Bureau of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, and Premier of the Cabinet of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Kim Do-kun, Secretary of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, and Chairman of National Sports Guidance Committee, Kim Jong-kwan, Vice Premier of the Cabinet, Lee Myung-guk, Minister of Finance, who is the Chairman of the Ice Skating Association, and other officials concerned, builders who took part in the reconstruction project, officials of ministries and national agencies, sports people, officials and employees of the ice rink, and Pyongyang citizens. An inaugural address was made by Kim Do-kun. After the ceremony, there took place a figure skating demonstration.
The people in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea significantly celebrated the 80th anniversary of national liberation. People visited the Gumsusan Palace of the Sun, the supreme temple of Chuche, where the great leaders Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il are laid in state. An endless stream of people visited the Arch of Triumph with the humblest reverence for Kim Il-sung, who led a sacred war for liberating the country to a brilliant victory. The visitors to the Revolutionary Martyr Cemetery on Mount Daesung in Pyongyang and the Revolutionary Martyr Cemetery in Hesan of Yangon Province pay tribute to the noble soul of the revolutionaries of the first generation who pioneered and advanced the revolution. Working people's organizations in all parts of the country, including North Pyongan, South Hwanghae, and Gangwon provinces, held celebration meetings and oratorical contests. Officials, working people, and Yusen students in South Hamgyong Province and the city of Nampo visited the Yonggwang Revolutionary Battle Site, the Guksabong Revolutionary Battle Site, and other battle sites during the anti-Japanese war, and deeply felt the strong revolutionary spirit and spirit of guerrillas possessed by the fighters. A concert was given by the National Symphony Orchestra at the Morambong Theater in Pyongyang, and colorful performances were given in the capital city and provinces. Public service amenities in the capital city and provinces, such as the Ongnu Restaurant in Pyongyang and the Gyeongnam Restaurant in Sariwon of North Hwanghae Province, were crowded with people enjoying the holiday. Working people and school children enjoy themselves at places for cultural and emotional life, including the Central Zoo, the Monsu Water Park, and riding clubs and bathing resorts across the country. A dancing party of Women's Union officials and members was held at the Plaza of the Arch of Triumph in Pyongyang on the 15th to celebrate the 80th anniversary of national liberation. The dancing party started amid the playing of the song Long Live Generalissimo Kim Il-sung. The participants danced, paying the greatest respect to the great leader Kim Il-sung, who gave the dawn of rebirth to the Korean people and opened up a new history of building a state, prospering with independence in politics, self-sustenance in the economy, and self-reliance in national defense on this land. That day also witnessed similar dancing parties held in other parts of the country in celebration of the 80th anniversary of national liberation. And that was the end of the news. This is Voice of Korea. Now you will hear the song The Leader Will Stand on Mount Baekdu Forever, created in 2003.